Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome to Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in to this special motorbike preview of the TT that's coming up this weekend, which starts this weekend. It's not just going to be me talking about it, though. Please welcome back to Motorsport Radio, journalist for the Pit Crew Online. Please welcome Kiko Alexander Giles. Hello there, Kiko.
Thank you, Lester, and I'm glad to be back, really. I've had a week off, as of you, I think, and, so much has happened in these 2 weeks. I can't wait to get back on about it.
Well, just tell us briefly, before we move on to the TT, what have you been sort of doing, really? Where have you been? What have you been doing?
Well, I've been, at the last weekend, I've been at Donington Park for the World Superbike event, which was very good. There was a lot going on there. There was obviously the massive tribute to the late, great Nicky Hayden. And to be fair, I think the motorsport world, or sport world on a whole, is still a bit raw about that. But before that, obviously, I don't think we got the chance to talk about Le Mans and MotoGP. That was an absolute cracking weekend across all three classes. Obviously, with Maverick Viñales retaking the lead of the championship from his teammate who crashed out in the last lap, Valentino Rossi. And there's actually news with Valentino Rossi. We'll come up with that later, I'm fairly sure. But yeah, it's all been going in the motorsport world with the Indy 500 as well. And really, it's just one of the... We're coming into the summer now, and this is where it all starts to happen.
Exactly, yeah. Neglected to mention that there was a lot of MotoGP stuff, and we will talk a bit about MotoGP in a short while. But possibly one of the only events to probably, I'd say, surpass MotoGP in terms of stature. Anyway, it is the TT, the annual mecca for bike and road racing fans. Everywhere. You're going to be following it closely. It's currently in practice week at the moment, and the actual races. Well, just give us an update, Kiko, on the schedule as to what's going to happen, where and when.
Well, yeah, as you say, it's currently in practice week. Traditionally, it's the last week of May, which is practice week, and the first week of June, that is race week. Now, unfortunately, though, the Isle of Man has been subject to a bit of how do we put this? True British weather. There was mist on the mountain on Saturday that led to the cancellation of practice sessions, and there was rain all day Monday, which again led to the cancellation. So for a lot of people, they actually jumped straight on their superbike last night and got cracking along with it. And really, it has been good to watch. There's been some good times. It's a little bit off the pace, though. I think everyone's still bedding themselves in, getting themselves settled down into a rhythm. Obviously, you can only do 2 or 3 laps at a time. Really, very rarely 3. You can only really do 2 laps at a time at the TT because it's such a long circuit. You need to come in and fuel. So it's all about rhythm. And once you've hit that rhythm, you're starting to make strides. You're starting to get into that show. And as soon as you can do it at the TT, the better. Josh Brooks is telling me you just need to... The first lap's always the hardest, but after the first lap, you build. Each corner, you take a little bit quicker. You keep building and building and building. That confidence and the momentum, it comes to you as the week goes on.
Yeah, I've just been having a quick look at some of the quali times and practice times on the website, iomtt.com, in case you were wondering if you wanted to sort of nerd out and do the same thing yourself. Just what is the big headlines as of today, i.e. Wednesday, midweek? What's been happening this week in practice and quali?
Well, really, it's a replica of last year. Ian Hutchinson and Michael Dunlop are already top of the timesheet. And I think I'm just looking at my notes here. It was a Dan Nina surprise third on the Pens123.com machine. But like we say, Ian Hutchinson had the better Northwest 200, in my opinion. He comes into this Isle of Man TT with a little bit more confidence, and obviously he's riding well in the Superstock Thousands over here in Britain. Whereas Michael Dunlop is on a new Suzuki. He has got to learn that bike. He's been riding it at all the British rounds so far, at Donington, at Brands Indy, and at Alton Park. He's been very busy. I did try and get a chance to talk to him, But unfortunately, he was just so rushed off his feet, didn't speak to me. So that says, I got the interview with Ian Hutchinson at Brands Indy. He's a lot more relaxed. He's not got a lot to prove, really. He's ahead of Michael anyway. We know the rivalry is still there from last year. BMW is a great brand to have on the roads as well. It's a proven winner. Michael won with it last year in his team. Hutchie cleared up on the super stocks. They did it the year before as well. Just not in the senior with John McGuinness. But the biggest, I think, dynamic to this year is actually, will Michael Dunlop actually be able to stop Ian Hutchinson? We saw last year that Hutchie couldn't quite nail Michael in the senior and in the Superbike class. Now, they are arguably the two main ones. But if Ian Hutchinson can get at least one of them nailed down, which he thinks he can as well, Ian Hutchinson has said that he can win more than the 3 races that he's won for the last 2 years. If Ian Hutchinson can beat Michael Dunlop and do the 4 in a week, or even replicate that heroic 2010 effort when he got 5 in a week, I think Ian Hutchinson is on course to becoming one of the most successful, if not the most successful, TT riders of all time. But I don't know whether that's going to play mind games a little bit with Michael Dunlop. We shall see. Of course, we're only in practice week. Outside of them two, though, we've got Peter Hickman on the Smiths BMW. Now, I am very impressed with Peter Hickman. Incredible rider, one of only a few that can actually transfer his road pace back into British Superbikes and his British Superbike pace straight onto the roads. He's a real all-rounder. So keep your eyes out for him, and also keep your eyes out for this name. Now, you may have heard of it, actually. He hasn't really done a lot at the TT. He has been steadily working his way back up, though. Steve Mercer. He is definitely a rider to keep your eye on. He could cause a couple of upsets. Top 6s. He's 5th at the moment after qualifying. So really, it's all to play for.
Excellent stuff. Thanks, Kiko. I will look out for those names. I noticed that actually Peter Hickman, I think he was like one of the standout performers of last year. If I vaguely remember last year, that a lot has happened, but he was certainly, if he wasn't already, he certainly did put his name on the map from last year's.
Yeah, I mean, he put his name on the map as soon as he came here. He was the fastest ever newcomer. But I think, actually, his form in British Superbikes this year has been outstanding. He came to Donington Park and was giving Christian Hidden a run for his money. They did have a bit of attention on the grid for the second race, but Peter Hickman is definitely one of the very few riders. I can only think of Alistair Seeley and Glenn Irwin of the current bunch who can successfully make that switch from Superbike racing into Superbike racing at the TT or at roads on a general level. It's an impressive talent, and not many people have gone on to do that very successfully in the past. We're looking at names like David Jeffries, and I'm sure people like Peter Hickman and Glenn Irwin will really be liking that comparison with names with such stature in that.
Just have to wait and see what happens, really. Well, talking about what might happen in the TT, the first race is this Saturday, 3rd of June. Oh, it's June already. Can you believe that? That's unbelievable. But yeah, June, this Saturday, and that's when the first race is the Superbikes and Sidecars. Is it just too random to expect anything or anyone in particular to do well?
I think, like we've said, I think Hutchie and Dunlop are definitely going to be the people to beat, but there's upsets. It all can always happen. The one thing the TT is definitely missing this year is John McGuinness. That is a crying shame that he isn't here. He was injured. If you've not been following us, or if you've been on another planet for the last month or so, John McGuinness was injured at the Northwest 200 in qualifying. He has broken his leg. He's done his back no good, and I think the other one's his ribs. He's definitely hurt his ribs. He's going to be out for probably the rest of this road racing year, which is very sad. But what I should do is bring you on to who's replacing John McGuinness for the Supersport race, and I was very lucky to be privileged and bring this as an exclusive. We was the first people to bring this out. Josh Brooks is replacing John McGuinness at Jackson Racing. But that has unfortunately not worked out as well as the Jackson Racing squad would have liked, because Lee Johnston has left the team. And I think Dan Neen has come in for that. So obviously bringing a higher name in with Josh Brooks might have just, I don't know, put Lee Johnson under a bit of pressure, might have just upset the balance in the team. I'm not sure. Either way, it's an inconvenience, and you buy one and you lose another. So unfortunate there for Jackson Racing. Josh Brooks can bring a surprise though. That Superbike race that you was on about, Lester, on Saturday, Josh Brooks is also in that. He's on the Norton. I think he's teammates with David Johnson, actually. Don't hold me to that. I think he is. David Johnson coming back from injury as well. That Norton, he's had a few problems with suspension setup. He changed it. It's nothing drastic. He said to me in the interview, it's more he's making changes that would be to in British Superbikes. They're only little tweaks. They're not like throwing a new fairing in. They're not doing nothing too drastic. It's all very simple changes, technical setup changes. So Josh Brooks back at the TT for the first time in since 2014, I think, was the last time he was at the TT. Back now, said to me that he'd rather have a second British Superbike Championship win than a TT win. We shall see what the Australian can do. I think. I reckon he's going to be definitely a package to look out for. Whether he can win it or not, I'm not so sure, but I think a top 6, a top 8 is definitely in his capabilities. He's had a best of 7th, don't forget, before, and I think that was in the Super Sport category for Sean Muir's Yamaha team.
Well, this is Motorsport Radio. I am Lester, and we are talking bikes midweek. Yes, it's Wednesday, and it's bikes. We just thought we'd like to talk some bikes, really. It's long overdue, and joining me to do so, it is Kiko Alexander-Giles from the Pit Crew Online, top journalist there. Do check out the website and their social media accounts for all of Kiko's bike ramblings and journalistic breaking news, it is, of which you have had quite a few over the years, I'm sure, Kiko. But yes, thank you for being with us. And yes, so we move from the TT to MotoGP, and there was a bit of a scare recently involving Valentino Rossi. What happened?
Well, actually, there's been 2 scares since we last commenced. There was the crash, I suppose you could say 3, actually. Valentino Rossi ran wide, gave the lead off to Maverick Viñales at the French Grand Prix, and the last lap, and pushing a bit too hard, Valentino made the second mistake of the lap and crashed. Now, that is a very un-Valentino Rossi thing to do in a last lap battle. All them years of experience and training with the rivals that he's had, Seto Gibernel, Max Biaggi, Jorge Lorenzo, Stoner, Marquez, so on and so on. He has made a mistake, and it's been a costly one. It's cost him what would have been 20 points if he'd stayed second, could have been 25 points, could have extended his championship lead as well. Unfortunately, he didn't even get back up to finish the race. He was a DNF, and now he's 3rd in the championship. He's no longer leading it, and he's 23 points back, and that is a disaster for the Italian. And coming into his home round, you think, well, it's Mugello. We're going to have a Valentino Rossi podium, pole and win or something like that. But no, that doesn't even look that likely anymore, because Valentino Rossi has had a bit of an injury. He's had chest trauma following a motocross accident. Now, it's the first time in 7 years that Valentino Rossi has actually used his motocross bike. He does trials and he does dirt track, but he's never actually done the jumps with the motocross bike. Now, he's had this injury, and it will be down to the doctors at Mugello, the Clinica Mobile, to decide whether he's racing, which is a massive thing. This is the Italian Grand Prix. Well, the last time Valentino Rossi didn't go to Italy or didn't race at Mugello was 2010. This is a huge, huge impact. It's going to matter a lot for the fans. It's going to matter a lot for the manufacturers. And also, it's going to matter a lot for the championship. Valentino Rossi, he may have crashed out of Le Mans, but there's another 13 races left to go. He can still win this championship. Unfortunately, with this injury he's picked up, it's a disaster, really, coming into his home race.
Yeah, like you say, it's not ideal. I've got a feeling, though, I could be very wrong, but I do have a feeling that he will be racing, and I think that no doctor on earth will keep the doctor from racing.
I mean, at the end of the day, they can't favour him, but Valentino Rossi has, they discharged him from hospital. He's still at home recovering, but
So was it actually, because all the initial news reports came out, I mean, it was so close to Nicky Hayden's passing that I think we all kind of thought, oh my God, not again. But then it was very much played down, and it was just it was talked about as just being a bit of a minor bump.
It was a bit more of a, it was a worry. That's the thing. It was a worry that Nicky Hayden's accident happened in Italy, Valentino Rossi's has happened in Italy. They were both in the same area. Thankfully, of totally different natures. Valentino's was nowhere near as severe as Nicky's. And obviously we all remember Nicky in our own way. But Valentino, I think he'll be racing. But it's that doubt. It's the doubt. He's coming into the Italian Grand Prix. He might not be racing, and I think that's the biggest thing out of all of this. He's injured himself. He's 38 years old. Now, that's no disrespect to people who are 38 years old or older, because I'm definitely not 38. I'm not 38 for another 20 years. But at motorcycle racing level, if you injure yourself later on in your career, it takes a longer time to fix that issue. So Valentino, he's going to be in pain, and this pain might go through for the rest of the year like it did with his shoulder injury 7 years ago. That shoulder injury didn't go away till 2011 at the end of that. So I think Valentino will race. Whether he's going to be fighting for the win, though, I'm not sure. Whether he's even going to be fighting for the podium, I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of fast riders, a lot of local riders, including Dovizioso. I think he's going to have to do something for Ducati. I think Andrea Iannone on the Suzuki is going to be one to watch, but at the moment it's Maverick Vinales. Who can put anything past Maverick Vinales given the current climate, with Rossi injured and with Zarco being a bit of a fly in the ointment? Marquez can't stop crashing. Jorge Lorenzo's nowhere to be seen on the Ducati. Maverick Vinales is looking to walk away with this championship after Mugello, I think.
Really? You honestly think so? I mean, it's considering that. I mean, it's only 23 points between. I think 23 points at the moment coming into Mugello between Rossi and Vinales from first to third. That hardly seems like he's about to walk away with it, though.
No, but I'm thinking if Valentino Rossi doesn't get a podium here and Maverick Vinales wins the race, that will automatically be a minimum extending of his championship lead by 12 points over Valentino Rossi. Now, Dani Pedrosa is the only other rider who's really in touch. He's 17 points adrift. But Dani Pedrosa's last win at Mugello was years and years ago. 2012. And I think it might have even been before that. I don't even know if he has one at Mugello, because Rossi dominated up until 2008. So Dani Pedrosa, is he going to take the win here at Mugello? I can't see it happening. Then again, Dani Pedrosa surprised us at Jerez. So I wouldn't put him as a championship challenger. People want, the Honda management will want Marquez to win, the same as Yamaha management want Rossi to win. It's good for their image, it's good for branding. It's their two number one riders. I can't believe that Honda would want Dani Pedrosa to do well. Unfortunately for me, I'd love them just to take the politics out and the money involved of it out and just say, listen, Danny, you're top rider at the moment, go for the win. But I don't think he's going to be up there anyway. I really don't think he's going to sustain it. He's injured quite a lot of the time. He's not had a year yet where he's really put a season together. 2012, that was arguably his best championship. He wasn't injured. I just don't believe that someone with Dani Pedrosa's history of injuries can put a season together and seriously threaten Maverick Vinales, who's in the form of his life. This is Maverick Vinales who's won 3 of the first 5 races on a Yamaha. This is the Maverick Vinales who hasn't had a finish lower than 6th, I think, at the moment, 5th or 6th. I know he crashed in Texas. But, he's won on the Suzuki. He has definitely carried this form through to Yamaha, and he is the man to beat. He is the Jorge Lorenzo now for Valentino Rossi. Like Neil Hodgson says in the BT Sport commentary, be careful what you wish for, Valentino. And Valentino's got rid of one Spaniard and he's got another one in, and again, it's going to be difficult. I'm not saying Valentino can't do it. This is the doctor. He's done it before. He can turn things around. He came from over 50 points back to almost beat Nicky Hayden in 2006. But this is a different era. I can't see Maverick Vinales making too many mistakes. I can't see Valentino Rossi beating Maverick Vinales too many times. We know Vinales has gelled with this Yamaha since he had it out the box. Valentino Rossi's took a little bit longer to work up to it. Like I say, though, it takes a Valentino Rossi win this weekend, and my theory's blown out the water, really.
Well, I suppose we will just have to wait and see what happens with the Doctor this weekend and Vinales and the championship coming out of Mugello. Also in MotoGP, the highest placed Brit. I was having a quick browse on the MotoGP website for all the latest and best MotoGP news, other than the pit crew online, of course. But yeah, Cal Crutchlow is he compared to his reputation? How's he having? How's his season going so far, do you think?
I think Cal Crutchlow's having a solid year. He's had a podium in Argentina. I think he crashed in Losail, but he's got his season back off to a reasonable, I don't know, a reasonable formation, I suppose. He was fourth in Texas. He was top independent there as well. He was a crasher, actually, in Jerez, big style as well. But I think Cal Crutchlow has definitely got a lot more to offer. He has got a bike that is now starting to work a bit more for him and for the team as well. LCR Honda are building this relationship now with Cal. He's been with the team for 2 years. No doubt, anyway, the relationship was definitely there. But, third year together. And Cal is definitely making strides. He's, without doubt, we're talking about him now as a potential podium threat most races, potential pole threat most races. This is a Cal Crutchlow who's riding on a crest of a wave, as well as his LCR Honda.
Yeah, it's. I think we all hope that he gets regular podiums and is stays up on two wheels. I think. I think. Am I right in saying that we would all like him to shed his Crutchlow image? I would,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'd like to see him just. I don't know. I think it's a bit of a personality with Cal now. He crashes, he gets back up, and he tries again and pushes the exact same limits. And I think that's any racer's image. Any racer's thought is just to go out, find the limit, make sure you don't go beyond the limit, and then try and work within that limit to keep going and as fast as you can, and just try and take them tenths and seconds off. I think Cal Crutchlow will grow out. Well, I think he has grown out of his crashing. Every rider has a couple of crashes. Valentino Rossi's crashed already this year. This year. Crutchlow is definitely a serial offender. But if you look at other riders, you've got Sam Lowes, who crashes every weekend. Maybe not in the race, but practice sessions. And people in other classes, you've got in Superbikes last year. You had Davide Giuliano just kept crashing. I think some riders just crash a lot, and I'm glad Cal Crutchlow has actually decided to rein it in a bit. He is taking the steps that I think required, and I think we're in for another year of a bit of British success this year. I'm not sure whether Cal's going to win, but he's already had a podium. Who knows? Maybe Cal will win a race. I'll tell you, I would like to see do a bit good this year, but not that's bad English on my part. But I mean a bit better. Bradley Smith, that KTM is starting to work really, really well now. They both got in the top 12. Yes, the wet weather helped them in Le Mans. They both got in the top 12 for the qualifying shootout. Top 10 from Free Practice 3 for the qualifying shootout in Le Mans. These two KTMs are starting to work. They've got rid of the Big Bang. They put the Screaming engine in. Have they put the Big Bang engine in? No, you've got me there. Scratch that one. They've got a new engine in anyway, though this KTM is definitely working. And I think, it's making Aprilia look a little bit slack. Aleix Espargaro has been struggling on the Aprilia. Sam Lowes has definitely been struggling on the Aprilia. Suzuki are struggling. Now they've got rid of Maverick Vinales and replaced him with Andrea Iannone. They have realised that their front end is absolutely atrocious. No rider can push on it. So I think KTM are actually, a lot of people have started slating them and saying, oh, well, they should be coming in and getting instant points. It just takes a bit of time to work up to that. When people say they're going to get gifted points, well, every rider is going to get gifted points at some point. The whole point of MotoGP, of motorcycle racing on the whole, is to try and get to the finish with some points. And it doesn't matter how you get them. If you get points, you are doing well and you are working your way up the championship. You've completed a race. There's data to be gained from that. And KTM are just working solidly. They are working methodically through their schedule, through their program of things to test and try. And, you know, I think come Sachsenring, come the Red Bull Ring, come Brno, definitely by the end of the year, there's going to be a couple of top 8s in there.
Yeah, it'll I suppose one of them things where we'll just have to wait and find out whether, in fact, Kiko, you are correct. And I have no doubt that at least some of the things you've said might possibly be correct.
You watch now, you've said that. None of them will actually come true. No, they're all it's all going to be like Valentino Rossi will win the championship with 2 races to go, and KTM will just stay towards the back, and now I've cursed everyone. I always have this effect on people.
You and me both, I think. So Cal doing all right, I think, in 7th place in the championship. He's in a good spot to make to do something good in the championship. I would think. Down in 12th place, or should I say up in 12th place, it's former Coolfab Racing rider Scott Redding in 12th place, level on points, I see, at the moment, coming into this weekend's round with Danilo Petrucci, and both with 26 points each. How's Scott been going?
Scott's been looking good this year. I really am impressed with Scott. He's definitely been up there in the free practice. He's been working solidly from the start of the weekend. And that is a big thing, because in MotoGP, every free practice session counts. You know, you can't afford to just get on it for qualifying, because you got to get through that stage of getting into the big shootout for pole position. Scott Redding is definitely going to be up there. I think he's got a couple of podiums in him this year. The Ducati he's on is a proven winner, which we have seen has gone south for his teammate, who's on the new factory bike, which they've had problems with. I'm not so sure Danilo Petrucci is enjoying riding that GP17, and I think Scott Redding is actually thanking his lucky stars that he finished behind his teammate in the little championship those two had last year to see who gets the factory bike. Scott definitely has got pace. He's on a bike that is, like I say, a proven winner. He's going to have data with it. He's going to have a lot of support with it. There's other riders on it. So at the end of the day, having a year-old bike's not always a bad thing.
Interesting. Scott Redding. I've just been having a quick look at some of the Moto2 world standings at the moment, and Morbidelli out in front and seemingly dominating in comparison to the rest of the field. Luthi in second, Alex Marquez in third. Almost 40 points gap between Marquez and Morbidelli from first to third.
I mean, Franco has come into this year and he has absolutely just took his first win in Qatar, followed it up with another win in Argentina and another win in Texas, and he crushed in Jerez, but he's straight back on it come Le Mans. And, you know, it's unbelievable. Franco Morbidelli, nobody has dominated Moto2 quite like Franco Morbidelli has. But he's come in and he's just won. His worst qualifying position has been third. You know, it's almost a bit like Jonathan Rea in World Superbikes. He's just so consistent. It's a procession to some fans, but I actually think it's quite tactical. You know, we saw in the last race, Francesco Bagnaia, another podium for him. In fact, the names you've just read out there, Lester, Pecco Bagnaia will come up that order. He is going to challenge now, I think, most races. He's an Italian. It's the Italian Grand Prix coming up. I think the Italians will be happy with Morbidelli. They'll be happy with Bagnaia. They'll be happy with Passini. But I think this is a little bit of an incentive now. Franco Morbidelli has won his first Moto2 race. He's won 4 of them, in fact. Whether Francesco Bagnaia has got a little bit more determination to get his first win at home, I'm not sure. If he can, the crowd will love it, and that will give him massive confidence for the rest of the year. He's finished, I think, it's been second, and who knows what else could happen now. It might be in the third, actually. I'm not sure. I think it was a second, because Oliveira was on the podium. Don't hold me to that. Again, I'm having a bit of a bad day here. Yeah. I think it was Bagnaia second in Jerez, and then he definitely got second in Le Mans. So I reckon he's got a bit of confidence about him now. He almost beat Morbidelli, of course, last time out. I think he can beat him in Mugello.
Well, I guess we will just have to, I'm kind of getting bored of saying it, but we'll just have to literally wait and see what does develop this weekend. I'm getting the feeling from you, though, Kiko, that it is all to play for this weekend at Mugello, and that could be perhaps the actual turning point of the championship, if it turns at all, as to where exactly the championships end up going in MotoGP and in Moto2 as well. But hey ho, we'll get you back later in the season to either congratulate you on your predictions or laugh at you either way. But yes, Moto3, just quickly talking about Moto3, and it's Johan Mir who's again way out in front in the championship on 99 points. It's Romano Fenati with 65 points at the moment in second place. And the highest placed Brit, by the way, if you're wondering, John McPhee on 53 points in fifth place right now. Your thoughts, Kiko?
Well, Moto3 was actually quite close coming into Le Mans. Coming out of Le Mans, as you just said and highlighted, it is absolutely not the case. Johan Mir has flown off with that lead again. That actually started. Romano Fenati crashed out of the race in Le Mans. Jorge Martin did the same. There was a big oil spill as well in the previous start of the race. They had to restart the race. Johan Mir is a bit of a class act. We were shown that last year at the Austrian round when he took his first win. Moto3 is not over yet. I mean, I know he's probably got the biggest lead out of all the championship leaders across the three classes, but Moto3, especially at Mugello, has this tendency to throw us up. A really odd result. We saw last year Fabio Di Gianantonio came from absolutely nowhere, got his first points, which was a second. So I think Moto3 at Mugello, if you're going to watch any race in Mugello, whether Valentino Rossi's racing or not, watch Moto3. It's going to be an absolute cracker. You'll have a leading group of 18, 19, 20. It's going to be one of them. It's all going to be slipstream. And down that huge front straight, it's going to be so entertaining. You're going to get 5 or 6 abreast. You could be 10th coming out that last corner at Mugello on the last lap, and you could still win or take a second or third. It's really going to be entertaining. And I think that's great for Moto3 because, no one wants to have what we had last year, and that was Brad Binder just walk off with the championship. We want a battle, and we want to see a bit of slipstreaming. And you know what? I think we're going to get that in Mugello. I can't see anyone who's going to break away.
Traditionally, yeah, one of the traditionally Moto3 has kind of sometimes outshined MotoGP in terms of slipstreaming action, 10 bike fight for the win coming over the line after the last corner. Epic action, and it has received the crown of being probably the best championship by myself. For the past couple of seasons, Moto3. Of any championships, cars or bikes, including Formula One as well. It's just because I think partly they're so bloody crazy, and those bikes make for brilliant racing. Moto3 this weekend, and I'm not going to say what I said earlier, but I'll watch it and see, and you should too, because it'll be live once again on BT Sport.
Yeah.
Kiko, why is everybody focused so much on MotoGP, and when there are 3 Brits dominating arguably the championship of World Superbikes?
Well, this was a question I've thought for a long time. World Superbikes, I'm not going to go into another rant, believe me, but World Superbikes has for a little bit of time now been declining, and I think everybody just wants to get into MotoGP. No one wants to become a World Superbike Championship winner because, what does it mean at the end of the day? Are they in the Grand Prix paddock? No. Are they a Grand Prix race winner? No. So what difference does it make? I just think World Superbikes has kind of lost its shine over the last few years, but World Superbikes this weekend was a bit dramatic. Donington Park, race 1, Chaz Davies was walking off with it, and then he stepped off his Ducati. And then a few laps from the end, Jonathan Rea was, quite comfortable, and he crashed as well. So Tom Sykes took his 9th consecutive race win, and the championship now has actually shrunk. I mean, it's not hard to shrink it from 75 points. I think the gap's now 55. Jonathan Rea got back on for the second race, took a win from Tom Sykes. Chaz Davies was third. 3 Brits dominating in Britain, as you said. But yeah, Donington Park was definitely really a fun round. There's a lot of time left in this championship, but after 12 races, the gap is 50 points. It can come down, I suppose, but we're looking now at mistakes from Jonathan Rea. And as we saw at Donington Park, race 1, it wasn't a mistake on Jonathan Rea's behalf, but it was a mistake that resulted in Jonathan Rea not finishing the race. And if that's what it takes for Tom Sykes and Chaz Davies to keep in touch, I think that's what it's going to have to take. They move on to Mazzano in 3 weeks for the San Marinese round of the series.
Well, yeah, as you mentioned earlier, Kiko, you were at Donington Park, and as we can see now, you witnessed a truly awesome display of respect for Nicky Hayden. There was I don't even know how many people there were on that.
Well, on the Saturday there was 11,000.
Jeez.
There on Saturday, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot, but them 11,000 people, I'd say a good 9,000 of them all came to pay their respects to Nicky Hayden.
Yeah, in it being the first race since his terrible passing, and yeah, I suppose he was in everybody's minds as well.
He was in everybody's minds, and he wasn't just in the minds of the motorcycles sport industry. The IndyCar 500, Honda drivers paid tribute to him. Fernando Alonso had a 69 on the side of his car. He was a rider that absolutely gave it his all, and he wasn't scared to show his emotion either. When he was unhappy, he showed that he was unhappy. But as we saw when he won the championship in 2006, beating Valentino Rossi, he was incredibly happy with that, and he will be missed. He was a massive name. This is not someone who didn't do a lot for most of his career. Nicky Hayden is a Grand Prix champion. He's a World Superbike race winner. He came from absolutely nothing. His family were bike fans. His brothers went and learned how to ride bikes, did it professionally, won the AMA. I think he's still to this day the youngest ever AMA Superbike champion. He then went on to bigger and better things in MotoGP with his race wins, his podiums, the factory teams he was at Honda and Ducati, and then back to World Superbikes. He started winning again, and you know, it just doesn't seem real that he's only 35, someone as high profile as Nicky Hayden, these things aren't meant to happen to these kind of people. And it was an accident that should never really have happened. It was a bicycle accident. He was knocked off, and it does make you wonder, and it brings you back down to earth, that amidst all the celebrations and amidst all the glory and the success of motorcycle racing, one tragedy just ends all that, and it makes you appreciate what you as a fan and as a journalist have, and what other riders who are riding out there have, and the dangers that they face on and off track, really.
Certainly, yes. It was a devastating irony that someone made on. Well, I'm sure more than one person draw the comparison that to be riding around at hundreds of miles an hour for most of his career, and then to have that accident on a bicycle in a street was just cruel. But yeah, Nicky Hayden being remembered by literally everybody in motorsport, and will continue to be remembered by everybody in motorsport as well. Kiko, Alexander Giles, journalist for the Pit Crew Online. How can people keep up to date with what you will be writing and tweeting and putting out?
Well, there's many ways. You can follow the Pit Crew Online at the Pit Crew _online. That's on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at MotoGP Kiko. You can follow me Instagram, Facebook, everywhere really. I get about quite a lot. There's loads of ways you can keep up. There's Instagram for the Pit Crew Online as well. You'll see articles flying around everywhere. I've got an exclusive interview with Sandra Stamova, the MV Agusta PR girl coming up soon. Keep an eye on that. The latest one we've just put out, actually, was about Martin Halsall and his issues with the Suzuki GB. That's out everywhere at the moment. Get reading that. That is a massive story coming out of the British Superbike paddock. So really get your eyes on that. So yeah, follow it all over. Really, MotoGP Kiko, Pit Crew _online for my guys.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much once again, Kiko Alexander Giles, for joining us here to talk bikes, and we will certainly want to have you back to maybe even review what happened in Italy in MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3 coming up this weekend. So if you're free for that, I'll certainly want to drag you back on, and we can talk some more bikes. And also just a quick reminder as well that coming up in a couple of weeks' time, it is round 4 of the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship from Lincoln in Tattershall as well. It's free entry. Take your whole family and go and watch a entire weekend or a full epic day of the future BSB and MotoGP world champions and British stars. It's packed full of them, and it's actually very, very, very good racing. Head to our website, which is easy for me to say, motorsport-radio.com, and watch all the action from the most recent rounds at Rowra in Cumbria and Red Lodge down south somewhere, wherever that is. I'm good on geography. Kiko, thank you very much for joining us here on Motorsport Radio.
Now. This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation and have your say on motorsport-radio.com.